sometimes it's perfect. So to expand on that a little bit, and maybe I'm going into design that Tim's going to cover, but whenever you want to add another attachment point, it's when you have a long span, and since the curve of the sail is going to let sun through, you may want to add a point. Like let's say you got 35 feet span, and you want to maximize the shape, you might add a third or fourth point along that 35-foot span to bring that sail in closer. So I don't know that there's a good answer to your question, but once you get to 6, maybe pump the brakes and say, okay, should I add another sail or something? Does that help?
Yep.
Yep.
If you're doing a big sail like that, like maybe 6, even 8 points, you always put turnbuckles on every corner. Just
No.
depends on the square footage.
Yeah, so in my mind, I put the turnbuckles to make sure the sail's perfect when I'm done. So if it's 6 points, 8 points, you don't need a turnbuckle at every corner, but you're probably going to need at least half of that number of turnbuckles. So you can get away with a triangle with 1 turnbuckle, you've done right. A 4-sided, you should probably have 2, but no, you don't need 1 at every corner. No. Especially as you do a couple. In the beginning, I always tell people, maybe I'm getting outside of my lane here, but your very first shade sail, you should have a turnbuckle on every corner because you want a success, right? You want it to work. If you have a turnbuckle and the sail's a little big, you can pull 1 out and hook direct, right? There's variability in it. But as you get better, you can start to take away the turnbuckles. Anything else? I don't want to block my view. That's I guess number 3 right there. So again, the photos. You know, if you look at this picture, the side profile is very thin. Barely any of that hillside view is being blocked. That's one of the inherent beauties of shade sails. They have a thin profile for the most part. So blocking views is a very easy thing to answer. And you can assure your customer, no, you're still going to be able to see the mountain, you're going to be able to see the... Sometimes they want to block the view, and you can do that as well. That's kind of an easy one. Number 2, I want it to be waterproof. I wish waterproof sails were easy, because there's tons of applications, right? In my mind, the reality is if somebody wants a waterproof shade sail, they're better off with an awning with a frame that's supported. Because what happens is, it's fabric, right? It's going to stretch a little bit, and you know contractors, right? They know everything. You can't, I don't need 3-to-1 slope. You know, this is going to be fine. Until they call you, hey Pat, yeah, that shade sail caved in, what should I do? So we actually stopped making waterproof shade sails because almost literally everyone's got a problem. So your job to stay out of trouble, try and sail away from a shade sail, waterproof shade sail. A couple other things. So waterproof fabric traps heat, right? If you've ever been next to an awning that's pretty close to where you're sitting, it's really hot up there. Waterproof fabric does the same thing, traps heat. Shade cloth lets heat escape. Waterproof fabric doesn't stretch. Who's seen a picture of a waterproof sail in a magazine or whatever, and you can immediately spot the wrinkles, right? Because you have to be perfect with those things. Shade cloth is forgiving. And then, of course, it lets the water through. So, in my opinion, if you're trying to add shade sails to your product line, learn to say no to the waterproof ones, at least until you have a few under your belt, and then can put the proper slope, or sell them one of your awnings with a frame that will support the water. And this was kind of geared towards residential. Commercial, you know, they have a bigger budget, you can put bigger steel, you can pull the waterproof sails tight. I'm not saying don't do waterproof ever, but for that guy that says, yeah, I'd like to sit here without getting wet, but it has to be flat shade, so forget about it. Might as well not do it. All right, so number 1, it's too expensive. That's the biggest hurdle to overcome, right? So it's actually a whole page of things here. And please pitch in if you have something else. So here's what I say to people who are hesitant about the price. So I point out that the sail fabric itself is the least expensive part, right? So I'm a contractor, I know the codes. I'm going to dig the hole the proper depth. I'm going to put a steel post in. I'm not going to put a wooden post. I'm going to do it right. And that posts and the attachment points are where the most expense is, not the fabric. So yeah, those Costco $20 sales, they're great, but I would still put that sale in with a steel post and a concrete footing, right? So let them understand that this is a full construction project. You're not taking shortcuts, and it's expensive. And as an add-on to that, 12 years later, 15 years later sometimes, when they go to replace it, the posts are still good. The house attachments are still good. They're only replacing the fabric. So the replacement cost down the road is much less than the initial cost. Did you have a question? Sometimes, especially commercial, there'll be several sales in the job, and the price will be, this much. And we don't have the budget this year. Well, what is your budget? Okay, we have 3/4 of that. Well, let me put all the posts in. Let me put all the brackets in. Let's get the, inspections done. And maybe we don't put that last sale in. Maybe we save a couple sales for next year and have a bigger budget.
It's so hot.
It's been my experience that you have to give people options, right? So if you start taking away sales, if it's 4 sales on the job, and you say, okay, let me put 2 up, they're going to call you back in a couple of days. We found the money. Let's do the whole job.
It always turns up,
Right? So, yeah, you got to play the game. Also, sleeves. Who's used a sleeve for a post? It works pretty good for the most part, right? So, if someone has another area, because sharing a post is a great way to save money, right? So, but it's this expensive part. If they're trying to cut down their budget and they don't really have the money, let me put the footing in with the sleeve, and then next year we'll actually bring the post back out and we'll make the sale. So,
using sleeves, is it better or worse, or is it just more work and material and easier to?
it is a little more expensive. If you got one post in the regular footing, one post in the sleeve footing, of course it's more for the sleeve footing, and it is a pain in the ass. It gets wet in there and everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you're going to sell a $50,000 job or not, it can be worth it. But yeah, it's a hassle. You got to make sure. When I was doing it, I take a PVC pipe, light pipe, and have like 6 feet of it to make sure that the sleeve was angled at the right direction. It's a little more work, but like I said, make it to the sale.
Is there any extra use to having the sleeve? Because most of these are installed for good or long-term use.
Right. Yeah, you'd want to put a bolt through it or some way to keep it from coming up. That'd be the first thing the engineer says that it's going to pull out of there. If you angle it back. Right. Here's the good news. I was worried to death when I first started doing shade sales, and a storm would roll through, and I couldn't sleep. I wondered who's going to call me tomorrow. Everything's blown away. And then after a few years of not getting those calls, and especially going to Australia, where they're everywhere, it's a durable product, right? As you do enough of them, you understand the things you have to pay attention to, and then they're really trouble-free, in my opinion. So, don't be afraid to try a sleeve.
I don't mean to interrupt for a moment, but I missed something. He's selling the shade sale to the guy at his house. Where do I attach it on the house? Is there something that tells me, if I calculate the working load of this thing, like 2,000 pounds per unit, where I'm attaching, then, you're saying there's hardware and everything, but, posts are one thing, because they're there.
Right.
What do you do with the attachments on the house?
After talking to engineers about this, and if you put it in the middle of a wall, they're going to say, okay, tear out the drywall, put a 4x4 in there. So don't attach to the middle of the wall. Attach to the corner of the house with a corner bracket, or attach to the rafter with the rafter bracket. So I guess I'm going to answer your question a couple ways. One, it's a done thing and it works. So familiarize yourself with the different options. And I've actually tested a little pad eye, right? Everybody's used those little dollar pad eyes. 4 screws, the 4 wood screws. I got this machine at my shop that, with a winch on it, I can pull it and break it. So in a single 2x4, with one pad eye, 1,600 pounds, and the 2x4 broke. So that's 1,600 pounds before that thing let, and it wasn't the bracket, it was the 2x4. So if I'm being honest with you, I don't know what a corner bracket into a wood frame house, how many pounds that will pull. What I can tell you is I've never had a failure in the corner of a house. So your question was, you get to the house, you want to attach to it, what do? Rapid bracket, corner bracket, the header over a window. Whenever there's good meat back there, you could probably use that.
How do you know what's back there?
Well, here's where you need to stop. If you're putting your screws in, and some of these brackets are a little wider than a typical lumber, if you're putting your lag screw in and it spins, you're done. You got to move somewhere else, right, or block it in there. So how do you tell what's back there? That's your job as a contractor to know that. I used to take a real thin masonry bit to probe stucco to see where the wood framing was. That's one thing I used to do. Anybody have any tips on that?
There's a piece you kind of do this a little bit, but you can put in the aluminum railing. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like an aluminum track, and then you tech screw it in every 12 to 24 inches, so it distributes the load across the beam rather than having one anchor point for one sail corner. Now you anchor that track, and then you can feed the shade sail through that track, so it's up tight, snug to the building. There's other challenges with that as well.
Here's the advantage you guys have over, let's say somebody bought a shade sail franchise or started from scratch. They were a lawyer, they want to start in construction, they're going to start selling shade sails. They don't have that knowledge of the A-rail, I call it, or they don't know all the things you guys have done over the years to install awnings. That's your advantage, because you've seen these buildings and you know what's back there. So transitioning from awnings to shade sails, you have an advantage. Anybody else? Am I taking too long? No, you're good. So, you know, I always hate dropping down from stainless hardware, but there's galvanized hardware. You can save a few bucks that way. If they're really, you guys have bought stuff. I mean, sometimes you just want to know you're not paying full retail. You just want to know you've knocked a little bit off, right? So maybe try galvanized hardware. In Phoenix, there's a couple other things. We used to leave posts unpainted. It was cool to have rusty stuff in Phoenix. Great. No powder coating charge, no painting, right? You can save a little money that way. Leave the dirt on site. You know, homeowner may have a spot where they think they can, you know, they'll regret it a couple months later when they have a pile of dirt, but if they can save money and get you the job, sometimes they'll dig the holes. Sometimes they have, especially like churches. Churches are great shade sail customers. They'll have people who will pitch in and wheelbarrow the dirt over to the edge of their property. So leaving the dirt on site is a big savings.
Makes sense.
Offering a discount, you know, nobody wants to discount the price, but if you get something back from it, or off-season installs are good. If somebody can truly wait till December or January. If you're a shade sail guy, you're not selling any shade sails usually in January. If you're an awning guy, maybe that's your busy season. But offer a discount to install at a time that's more beneficial to your crew. In the age of social media, everybody probably has a website and Instagram, and you're trying to find some kid to run that part for you, right? Offer a discount for a video testimony put on your website. $50, something small. Put a sign in their front yard. I've never done that. I kind of threw that into the sound to it. I don't know. You guys put signs? AAA awning? I just threw that in. Another thing that helps is to have the range of shade flow, right? I'm not just saying this to make these guys happy, but one customer of mine in particular, he's got a whole technique. He gives them one choice of fabric, okay? You know, and they're hemming and hawing, they're not ready to sign up. Well, let me show you this one. Oh, there's a whole other choice of shade flow. Oh, so maybe hold back all the choices, but at least have all of them in your back pocket. All right, so I think the best way to make somebody realize that they need the shade sail and it's actually inexpensive to other stuff they've done, look at their backyard. The grill was $12,000, right? The pool was $40,000. The gazebo with the tile roof was, you know, the shade sail is going to be a small part of that. And if you look at both of these pictures with a microscope, you can see that it's a pretty expensive backyard, right? They've invested a lot in. So say, paint the picture for them. Have there been times where you wanted to have people over, but it's July, it's going to be too hot? Well, we're just not going to do it. If you have a shade sail that, and I guess I'm assuming that you guys have spent time under a shade sail, they're nice. It's a comfortable, relaxing environment, right? Shade sails are a beautiful thing. Paint the picture that they can enjoy that $10,000 barbecue or that the $10,000 patio furniture that they just bought, because now they can sit out there under the comfort of a shade sail. I think that's about all I have. Hopefully you took at least one thing out of this. If you feel like it, send me an email, say, hey Pat, I tried this technique, customer said yes, thank you. You know what, I enjoy this business. I don't know what exactly I'm going to get out of the time spent here, but if the shade sail industry gets more and more people into it and doing a good job, not putting up crap, and people understand, hey, yeah, shade sails are a done thing. If we get to the point where Australia, where it's a done thing is their term, it's a, I want to say $1 billion, could be $1 billion industry in the United States. So, thank you.
No question here. Regarding the turnbuckles, you mentioned about the number of turnbuckles to be attachment points. We have the issue where, you know, we can do without turnbuckles essentially. So the size ratio is a bit different. So my question is, how important is the turnbuckles? Do we really need them or not?
Your question is,
How big is the shade sail?
I mean, do we need a turnbuckles really to use them for installation?
my answer is, yeah, you got to have some way to tighten it up.